Live from the Export Beer Garden Studios, this is the agenda for Wednesday, the 20-something of January, 24th of January, 2024.
The Agenda, an alternative commentary collective podcast.
Every day before Jason Hoyt does a radio show, and any commentary that he ever does, he writes down just one note every time, and it's the same thing every time, and it's just the day's date. And I used to ridicule him for that, but after my performance in the last 30 seconds, maybe there's a bit of rhyme and reason to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that says a lot about Jason Hoyt's preparation for any live broadcast or radio show, that the date is about as prepared and is about as insightful as it's going to get.
It's funny because you see him scribbling down these notes and you're like, what is he writing there? And then you go and pick the notebook up. One of the best things that ever happened was when Matt Ward and Jason Hoyt were on the drive show on Hodaki, Jace would come in and grab what he thought was a new notepad every day and write his notes on it and leave it in the studio at the end of the day. Matt Ward would grab the notepad, rip the front page off, put it back in the shelf, and it was like Groundhog Day every day. He'd come back and pick the same notepad up thinking it was a brand spanker. But anyway, let's get into the podcast. Just yesterday, it was a little bit of a shorter podcast. We had to go away and do a bit of filming. We basically just played backyard cricket in Jerry's backyard all day.
Yeah, we did, with some black caps and some white ferns as well.
Yep. So we had Southey came down, Kane Williamson, Daryl Mitchell, Izzy Gates, Molly Penfold. And they basically just watched us play backyard cricket all day.
They're real heavy hitters too, they brought out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
With Kane Williamson, Tim Southey, like the one-day captain, test captain, and arguably our best batsman in Daryl Mitchell. And then Molly and Izzy from the White Ferns. Yeah, it was quite humbling because obviously a bunch of kind of middle-aged men rolling the arm over in the backyard, and then kind of 5 professional cricketers, international cricketers.
Greats in their own right.
Yeah, but basically they did a bit of commentary on us as kind of a lot of them sought revenge, particularly Southey. He really comes out firing, doesn't he? He comes out all guns blazing.
Yeah, he does. So I had a little highlight of my day yesterday was I bowled a ball and Kane Williamson from the upper deck goes, "Shit, was that a wrong-un?" And then he's like, "Oh, was that another wrong-un?" I can only bowl wrong-uns. That's the only thing I can do. I can't bowl leggies. I can't bowl anything. But I was just like, geez, I had half a mind to be like, oh, you're the first person to have picked that one.
Yeah. And Tim Southey was chirping away in the corner too. Made himself comfortable on a beanbag in the corner of the backyard.
Down by where we were bowling from. Yeah. So I immediately came crashing back down to earth when we played for, honestly, about 4 hours.
Yes.
And by the time they got there, I was buggered. And Tim Southey's sitting there next to me bowling. And he goes, geez, you're puffing a bit. I was like, yeah, fatigue's really starting to settle in. I'm bowling all over the shop. And he goes, just bear that in mind next time you're slagging us off on the commentary. It's not so hard, is it? It's not so easy, is it? I was like,
yeah, I know, but I think he's used to throwing barbs at traditional commentary, and like the fact that we don't actually ever go down that road.
We don't slag our own players.
No, absolutely. But yeah, just to give you some background, we were filming. We are going to release the definitive backyard cricket rules. Okay, there's like 6 rules that you have to swear by, and the rest of them you can make up, but there are 6 you have to stick by.
Yes, and they're universal.
And they're universal. They're basically global and ratified by all the Black Caps and White Ferns players that were there. Although they did throw one out that I hadn't had, and I argue this one, and they're really big fans of can't get out first ball.
I don't think that's a universal rule.
No, neither do I. I think in a charity match, cricket match it is, but backyard, you can go first ball.
And also you want to rotate the slog, the stroke, because
the slog slip there.
Rotate the slog. Because there's nothing worse than, like, I'm sure this has happened to you, but when you get stuck in there and it's all your nephews and nieces and they'll never bowl you out.
Yeah.
So you're like, any opportunity to get me out, you might as well take it. Because all that ends up happening is you get sick of it, you slog it down the street.
Yeah.
6 and out.
6 and out. Yeah, you got to go for it. So, I didn't, that's not included.
No.
That's not included in there.
I don't stand by that.
Well, that was Kane Williamson telling me that. And when Kane Williamson says, why haven't you got that in there? I'm like, wow.
Oh, okay, Kane. Yeah, sorry, mate. Okay, cool.
No, I argued. I stood my ground. I said, I don't know about that. The Golden Duck, you need to learn from a young age the feeling of getting out first ball.
Yeah.
And you need to carry that through your career.
But it also, it is a context-dependent thing, because if Nana decides she's had, a couple of sherries and she's like, bugger it, I'll come down and play. I used to play a bit of cricket back in the day, and you bowl her out first ball, that's not out. Let Nana play on, I reckon.
I don't know. Get back to your sherries, old girl. Don't come down and start playing the sandpit if you don't want to get sand in your eyes.
That's
get out
right.
of here.
It's definitely not a universal one, Look, but and then obviously, as you mentioned, every different front or backyard has their own rules. Like off the power poles, 8 runs, or different sorts of.
And I got a ringing endorsement from son of a Mitch, Daryl Mitchell, around our streaking lanes idea.
Oh, really? He likes that?
So he goes, that is possibly the best idea I've ever heard. In terms of installing lanes around the outside of the boundary in which people can streak or whatever and not disturb the game.
Yeah.
He was like, he mentioned it again. He goes, you should do that.
Yes, because
that's a good idea.
Maybe the next Blacklash we have the designated streaking lane.
Well, there's enough room because they bring the boundaries in about 50 metres.
Because then you still get the enjoyment of like, check this dude out. He's doing some dumb shit. The players get to enjoy it as well, but it doesn't interrupt the game.
Yeah.
Because there's so many streakers at the Blacklash that were in that last over.
Not streakers.
Oh, pitch invaders. Oh,
there's no nudity.
No nudity, but fresh out of the old hot pool.
Yeah. That's on Hot Springs, not us.
Yeah, don't try and pin that one on us. All right, let's get into some actual sport. I've got an intro, a bit of music here.
Okay.
Play for you.
Okay.
Well, it's a big show.
Yeah, that's right, Glenn Maxwell. He's set to avoid sanction from Cricket Australia's integrity unit. The all-rounder embarrassed, but back at training after being hospitalised following a night out in Adelaide, of all places. He, according to multiple reports from across the Tasman, Maxwell was taken to hospital after attending a concert by the band 6 and Out, which includes former teammate and Australian cricket Brett Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just one of the
Shane
great
Lee's
stories.
brother, I think,
is also in the band.
Yeah.
And so he was hospitalised on a night out, and apparently he's back at training. They said that he had like the week rostered off for his BBL team.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that.
Well, they're already out. They're knocked out. They're not out of the.
Oh,
they've been knocked out. Yeah. So
had they been when he?
I think so. I believe so. I believe so. And he was on a rotation out of the Australian team as well. So yeah, I mean, he had a bit of rope to play with.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm still fascinated with how he was hospitalised. I've read something around the fact he lost consciousness in the green room out back or something.
Right.
But he seems to be right as rain and slightly embarrassed.
Yeah.
So did he shit himself or something? Or like
did he just black out on the piss?
Yeah.
And someone freaked out and took him to the hospital?
Like,
is that what he's embarrassed about?
The fact that you can get released from hospital and be right as rain.
Back to training as a professional athlete on the Monday.
The hospitalisation part of it is an unusual twist to the story. Hey, but he's got form.
Oh, does he what? During the World Cup last year, you got to remember he was concussed after falling off a golf cart.
During the Jesse Ryder Cup?
During the Jesse Ryder Cup. What was the Jesse Ryder Cup?
Oh, it's basically just the Australians playing golf every other day of that World Cup.
And then in late 2022, he missed Australia's test tour to India and the BBL season after breaking his leg at a friend's birthday party.
The Big Show can party. That's those 3 incidents. That's all I can deduce from that. And you know what? I like him for that. I want to have a beer with Maxwell and try and hospitalise him.
I want to be there when he's having a beer. I just like to be off at the corner observing. I don't want to be involved in any of his antics.
I do love also in Australia the amount of sporting integrity units they've got.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've obviously got the Cricket Australia integrity unit. They've got an NRL integrity unit.
The hardest working men in sport.
Yeah, and all we've got here is like whitewash investigations.
Yes.
Which we need to get into more integrity units.
Yeah.
And I want to be part of the integrity unit. I'm not sure I ever will be because I've got a very low threshold, but
we don't have a lot of integrity.
No, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
It's the no integrity unit.
The lack of integrity unit.
I don't know. Let us know. I mean, I don't know how you can get hospitalised, and the fact that they say he's embarrassed.
Yeah,
it says to me that. Was he doing that thing? You know, when kids used to do it at school, where you used to hyperventilate and someone come up behind you and compress your chest and you'd black out.
Pass out. Yeah.
Were they doing that in the green room?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like overcooked it.
Did he get his stomach pumped? Because that would be another reason.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he started throwing up.
Maybe he was watching the 2011 Rugby World Cup Grand Final and he tried to kick a rugby ball out of the corner pocket of a pool table and broke his foot and then got hospitalised for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds good. It's quite obscure.
In Dunedin. I don't know who that happened to, but very interesting to see. I would love to find out. And Australia tends to have a way of finding these things out. Like in New Zealand, like you say, whitewash investigations, you never find out what happened to a lot of these things.
Well, Maxwell's headed out here. He will be headed out here for the T20s coming up at the end of February.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our in with Vittori. He'll be coaching the team. So maybe we should just get Vittori and just maybe we somehow hijack Glenn Maxwell, kidnap him.
What did the Big Show do?
Yeah. What did you do?
What did you do?
What did you do? Get him under kidnap him, put him under lights.
Yeah. I reckon Victoria would probably just tell you, wouldn't he?
Actually.
All right, sticking with cricket, the New Zealand under-19 cricketers have overcome a controversial dismissal at the World Cup in South Africa to earn their second win of the tournament in a crazy low-scoring match. They chased down 92. Their ninth wicket was a man-cat. I watched the replay. It's now legal to perform a man-cat. I feel like it was never illegal. It was it was quite a squirrely one, wasn't it?
It was immoral.
It was a gentleman's code.
Yeah.
I'll give you one brushback, a warning.
Yeah.
And then after that, you could kind of green light to do it, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't think it's controversial anymore. It's rules are rules. It's written in the rules. If you leave your crease before the ball's bowled, you can be run out.
I think it makes so much sense. Like, I don't understand. It's only in any other sport this wouldn't have been controversial, the man-cat. Because in baseball, you're allowed to step off the plate, but if they throw the ball to your man, you're out. It's pretty black and white. It's like, go on, do it, but it's at your own risk.
Yeah, it's like if they'd lost, it would have been even a bigger deal on it.
Yeah.
But there's one player that I've watched some highlights of, Matt Rowe, fast bowler for under-19s.
Yeah.
They've compared him to Pat Cummins in his action, and it's scarily similar, which is good news for New Zealand. He got a 5-foot in that game. Shit. And he is rapid, man.
Really?
He's good. So he's a player to watch out for, Matt Rowe.
Matt Rowe?
Yeah, got a 5-foot. I mean, it was against Afghanistan, but his action is, well,
Pat Rowe.
Any kid's going to model their action, model it off Pat Cummins.
Yeah.
Because, they'll look out for him. So they've won 2 from 2 so far. Couple of minnows that they've crushed, though.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Afghanistan went okay at the T20 World Cup, ODI World Cup recently.
Oh, yeah, I guess. It's all been played there over in South Africa, so let's hope they don't head to any vineyards and start smoking weed.
We'll see how we go. All right, quick ad break, and then we'll be back with more of the podcast. All right, Lane, we've got your chance to win the Topper Cricket Cuisine prize pack. All you have to do if you want to win the Ultimate Cricket Cuisine prize pack this summer, just tune into the ACC and text in the Topper keyword. So we've got a keyword on each of the commentaries.
Yes.
We've had a few of them so far. Golden, crumbs, various ones.
Crunch, yeah.
Crunch.
A great prize, though.
Yeah, it's a hell of a prize. Mini fridge, air fryer, a bunch of refreshments.
Yes.
Obviously
sponsors refreshments and toppers.
Refreshments. Something to fill the fridge with is how I would put that.
And the key to this, an extension cord. So you can run a lead to, if you haven't got any power points near your couch or your lazy boy or where you watch cricket, you can just run the lead there. You can power up the mini fridge on one side, chocker with Export Ultra, and on the other side, your air fryer.
Yeah, that's right.
No need to move.
No, and it's an attention to detail that I think is lacking from a lot of prize packs that are being dished out at the moment. People just don't really care, you know?
Yeah, distribution. Power distribution. No one takes that into account.
No, it's like, oh, all good. I've won all this stuff. Like, that's awesome. Great. Love it. Shout out to Leader. But how am I supposed to have it right beside my couch while I'm watching cricket? Well, here's how. Extension cord. All right. So the Aussie Open is going on at the moment, Lane, and you've chucked a game day good punt on for us.
Yes. The agenda. I've been watching the Breakpoint, the Netflix. Like in classic. I mean, it's worked with me. Now I'm kind of into tennis a little bit, and I'm following a few of the players. And your girl, Arina Sabalenka, she has made it through to the semi-finals and is looking good. I don't think she's dropped a game, actually, in the tournament. So I basically put punts on the finalists, who I think the finalists are going to be. And I am hoping that Coco Gauff gets eliminated in the semis. So I've got, because I think she's playing Sabalenka in the other in one semi.
Coco Gauff is,
So I've got Xingwen Zheng from China versus Sabalenka in the women's final of the Aussie Open. So I've got that, and I've got a multi with the men's finalist, which is, I think, is pretty missionary, and that is Djokovic, who's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Knocked out Taylor Fritz in the quarter. He's playing to play Carlos Alcaraz. And so that multi is coming in at $6.80.
Yeah, so we put a $100 bonus bet from our good friends at the TAB on that. That'll be $687. We had some good wins over the weekend as well. So
solid.
The kitty's looking very good. Yeah, I don't mind that. Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, that's almost worth taking by itself. It's only at $2.25.
Yeah, but the other one, the women's one's a bit more. The women's draw's a bit more up in the air. So that's why I kind of went, well, if Sabalenka, I'm backing her to win the whole thing, but she's got to knock out Coco Gauff.
Yes.
And Xingwen Zheng.
I don't know too much about her.
No, but she's a weapon.
Okay.
Yeah, they've pulled her out of the back blocks of China, and she's just dominating.
Yeah, they got a few of those. All right, that'll fill the kitty very nicely, and then we'll be paying out yet again. A bit of Warriors news. They're in pre-season at the moment. Just quickly, Shaun Johnson is out of the moon boot, and he's sweet as. Apparently, it was just a bit of an ankle tweak, and he's
moved into my hood.
Oh, he has? Shaun Johnson?
Yeah, he's come to the northern beaches, back to the northern beaches, because he's from Hibiscus Coast.
Okay.
But he's come a bit closer to town. He's around the Narrowneck, Belmont Hood.
Do you see much of him? Have you seen
I
him out
saw him at Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Doing some trick-or-treating, dressed as Shaun Johnson.
Was he, actually?
The guy looks like Shaun Johnson. He's dressed as Shaun. He's got a good costume.
Was he actually?
Yeah, it was Shaun Johnson.
In his full NRL kit?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't in his NRL kit, but there was a lot of people going, there's the guy that looked dangerously like Shaun Johnson. I think he was dressed up as Shaun Johnson.
There's a bit of a history in your family. Didn't your mother think that she saw Shaun Johnson in Hong Kong?
No, coming back from a flight from Japan. She reckons she sat next to Shaun Johnson. And it was like 3 days before a playoff game or something. But then there was something around him coaching in Japan. Like, I don't know. That was weird.
Seems
we couldn't confirm nor deny whether it was.
There's a track history of the Lane family seeing Shaun Johnson in various different places.
This was definitely Shaun Johnson. My mum, it could have been any old rugby player with tattoos on their legs and arms.
Yeah.
She would have thought it was Shaun Johnson. She could have sworn it was.
Yeah, but anyway, he's out of the boot and he's sweet, so he's hobbling around. In bigger news, the Warriors have agreed to pay Ronald Volkman's rehab bills. They're still adamant that they did nothing wrong, but the Sydney's Daily Telegraph is reporting that Volkman is going to fly back here to New Zealand to complete his treatment. According to Aussie media, he was facing a medical bill of around $50,000 to rehab that shoulder because he needs surgery. 2 screws have come out of it. And it's a good point that I think a lot of us didn't really think about, was the rehab for just your average person versus a professional athlete is like wildly different, and also wildly expensive for someone who relies on it for their job.
Yeah.
It's still not really our fault, but like, take for example, I've got a friend who did the exact same injury as Gordon Hayward did when he dislocated his ankle. He did it on the same day, and he still walks around with a limp now, whereas Gordon Hayward's back playing in the NBA and was like 6 months later.
So, like, medical insurance, private medical insurance.
Yeah.
Do sports teams have medical insurance, or do you have personal? So if I was a professional player and bunged my shoulder, can I go to Southern Cross and get my shoulder repaired on health insurance, or is part of the policy are you a professional sportsman, which will probably require a shoulder reconstruction at some stage?
Yeah, I reckon
know.
it must be on the team.
Yeah.
They would have some sort of, I shudder to think what that health insurance policy is. But surely it would be on them, and I think that's why this was such a big issue, was because it was like, who's going to pay for this dude? Because he's not playing for the Warriors, he's not playing for the Dragons. Then they were like, whose fault is it? Well, his team have asked for a release.
Yeah.
So the fault should fall on the manager, because either they didn't know that his shoulder was bung, in which case the fault is on them because they should have known. That's your player.
Yeah.
You should know if he needs surgery.
They would have gone, how's your shoulder? So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And they went, oh, okay. And or they knew it was bung and they still tried to pull a fast one on the Dragons. I don't know. If they knew his shoulder was bung and they asked out of a release, out of his contract when he still had another year, that's negligence. Either way, looks like
the Warriors have done the right thing in terms of like, okay, we'll help you with your rehab, but does that then tie him to the Warriors? Because if we spend $50,000 getting his shoulder right, and he goes, sweet, thanks very much, goes and signs for the Dragons and carves up.
Yeah.
How does that work? Does that mean because they're paying him, he's a part-time casual?
I don't know. That's a very interesting point. We can't fit him into our team, to be honest. We don't need him. That's why I think when they asked for the release, that's why they asked for the release. That's why it was granted. But you're right. I don't want to be footing the bill for this.
Yeah.
And then I see you go and carve up someone else. I certainly don't want to see you in the playoffs playing against us.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a 6-month injury at least, so he's going to be out for most of the season. But yeah, what happens? Did we say, okay, we'll pay it, but we'll have an option on your contract for next year,
or you have to go around to every primary school in Auckland and sign.
Yeah,
hats.
and every time the ACC asks to talk to Shaun Johnson, we're sending you.
He'd be straight back over to Australia.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. And just lastly on the wires as well, Cronulla face a major fight to keep prop Braden Hamlin-Uele after the Warriors have offered him a 3-year deal worth 2.4 million New Zealand dollars to join the club from next year. So
good offer.
It's a lot of money for him. Obviously, it's all the money that we've cleared up from Adam Whenua-Blake, who's going to the Sharks. This is why there needs to be some sort of trade situation. Yeah. Because I think if there were trades, we'd say, okay, Adam wants out. He can go to the Sharks. We would want Braden back, but we would probably also want like a draft pick or a smaller, a young up-and-coming player or something, because he's a great prop, and obviously the Warriors see something in him, but I don't know if he's definitely not the caliber of Adam Whenua-Blake. He's probably the next tier down, and he's a Kiwi. So, obviously we pay a premium for those kind of players.
Yeah, easier to get him home as well.
Easier to get them home. Looks like he's going to be a good leader as well. Also, I don't know if you've seen the last couple of years, they do a thing called Try July, and for every try celebration in July, they pay $1,000 to some charity. I forget what it is. He had one of the all-timers where he scored a try, got up, and immediately started WWE wrestling his teammates. But he sold it so well, it looked like he stood up and just cold-cocked his own teammate. I think that was like 2 years ago. But he'd be great for us. We need props. We are probably a prop short as it is, and that's without losing Adam Whenua-Blake. So
that's a great idea. I never heard of
Try July.
Try July, the Try Celebration July.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a great idea.
It's great. We need a bit more of that in professional sport. But yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how that goes. I still think that the NRL has a big problem with how their transfer system works. It's so deflating to be like, oh, we're getting a new guy? No. A year from now, you'll get a new guy and blah, blah, blah. So we'll see how that one plays out. All right, time for another quick break, and then we'll be back to mop up the news of the day. All right, Lane, the top names that were declined by the Births, Deaths and Marriages office last year have been announced. And
they're all, before you list off these names, they're usually always pretty much the same. It's around titles I'm picking.
Yep.
You can't call your son or daughter doctor. You can't call them sir. You can't give them a title, which I think makes sense.
The other one is numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Or characters that are outside the alphabet.
Yeah.
Because it just fucks up all the systems, you know?
You can't write it, you can't type it.
Also, as a person with a difficult to spell name,
I don't think your name is difficult to spell, Manaia.
Neither do I, but a lot of people do.
Like Mania, sure.
I get that all the time. Everyone spells it Mania. There's another complicated scenario whereby my mother gave me about 5 middle names when I was born, and then lost my birth certificate. So when I got my passport down there in Waimate, they were just like, what's his name? She's like, I can't really remember. I put it on the birth certificate. They'll just write down whatever. They did, send it off. Sweet. So my passport and my birth certificate, my driver's license, they all have different names on them. And it's only by like one of the middle names is missing off this one, and one of the other ones is missing off this one.
Surely it's on record at Births, Deaths and Marriages.
Yes, but
your mum might have lost the certificate, but surely someone has it.
So I had to get that reprinted in lockdown because I lost my. It was long and short of it is I have been detained at customs in Australia before. They were like, "Why don't your names match up?" I was like, "They're one name different. If I was going to make up a fake identity, why would I still be called Manaia, Thomas, John, Douglas, John Jingleheimer Schmidt?"
If you took that tone with customs, I imagine that you were there for a long time.
Big bushy beard, looking just like the guy they're looking for.
Yeah. Take off your shoes.
But anyway, what I was getting at is, as someone who has a struggle with every single time I have to write my name down in official capacity, don't give your kids hard names. Just call them Tim, Dan, Ben, John, whatever.
Just go to the Bible. Okay, what do we got?
We've got Prince.
Yeah. You can't be Prince Albert or Prince. Yeah, I get that.
Yep. You're right as well. Bishop, King, Major.
Yep.
They're rounding out sort of the top 10. Royal is in there as well. Messiah.
I know. You can be the Messiah, can't you?
You're setting your kid up for failure by calling them Messiah. But also, I don't know that we should be able to stop them from
There's a lot of biblical names that are out there. John, Paul, Peter. You're allowed to call them that, but not the Messiah.
Yeah. You can call him Muhammad.
You can call him Jesus.
You can call him Jesus.
Yeah. You can call him Jesus.
But I guess Messiah is more of a title again rather than a name. Captain, Chief, Fanny.
Fanny.
Now, at what point did we stop allowing people to call their child Fanny?
Yeah, because of course you've got Fanny Schmeller, the downhill skier from Germany.
Yes.
So you can call your kids Fanny in Germany, but not here.
What? Racist.
That is a little bit weird.
That is racist, that you can't call your kid Fanny.
Yeah.
ISIS was rejected. Look, I think that was more out of a favour to the kid.
Yeah, you can't call your kid ISIS.
Look, if you were going for the Egyptian god, fine, but I just need you to understand the name has a different connotation these days. King Killer?
Yeah, that kind of, like you're saying, you're kind of setting them up for failure, really, aren't you?
Yeah. Leonidas King.
Yes, again, it's the king situation.
Also, Leonidas, he was Jared Butler from 300. He was Leonidas.
I think you could get away with just Leonidas, just not the king bit.
Drop the king part. Masai King, another king one, and then someone tried to call their kid Pope as well this year, which is ridiculous. The most ridiculous name I've ever heard of was a Ladasha, and it was spelled L-A-A, and it was pronounced Ladasha.
Oh, God.
I don't know how that one got through if Masai King didn't. But those are the most rejected names of 2023. Just before we leave you, it is Wednesday, so it is time for another half-baked sports idea.
Half-baked sports idea.
It's the new year, Lane.
Yep.
There's a lot of New Year's resolutionists.
Yep.
The gyms are starting to fill up. Everybody's telling you about the fad diet they're on. They're doing their 75 hards, whatever it is that they're doing. Signing up to their 12-week challenges.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking that there's a real missed opportunity here. Opportunity to turn $1 for your favourite sports team. Charge people a fee to do a watered-down version of their favourite team's preseason alongside them. For example, the Warriors or the Crusaders. We call it the Punisher preseason.
Yeah.
You sign up, you go out, you're running hill sprints alongside the Warriors.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like roped off and they're on one side and you're on the other.
Yeah.
For an extra fee and a waiver, you can participate in contact drills if you'd like to. But I just think millions of people would sign up for this if it was like go and train with the Warriors.
Because all the you're right, all the Super Rugby teams, all the Warriors, their social media feed is just full of preseason training. They're doing their Broncos. They're running out the Muriwai sand dunes and stuff like that. So it's not a bad idea. I'd rather sign up to that than signing up to learn how to podcast.
Are people offering that?
I don't know. But it's a good idea. That's not half baked. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah,
because they've all got different programs they're running.
Yeah.
It's the heat of the summer though. I watch those videos and I look at them training and they're sweating balls. And I'm like,
You'd have to pay me $1 million to do that.
Gross.
And
but the contact is good. I like that. But to hold the tackle bags, you pay another $1,000, sign and waiver, and then you're trying to take down Samasoni Takiaho out the back of Ruakura.
Yeah, I just think there would be so many. Obviously, there's like the like your first 15 players or like aspiring NRL players.
Yeah, true.
Maybe like development players, your seniors or whatever. But then also guys just want to get into good nick. People that just want a photo with the players, whatever. Yeah. I just think the appeal for this is so wide-ranging. And obviously it would be watered down.
Fan camp. Yeah.
This one time at fan camp.
At fan camp.
Me and Chanel Harris defeated it. No.
He put his hand up there.
So yeah, that's my half-baked sports idea for today. It may be too baked.
Yeah, that may be too baked. Like I said, you've come up with a lot of terrible ideas. That one there is not bad.
Yeah, turning the field sideways I think was one of the worst ideas I've ever had in rugby. All right, that'll do us for today. We'll be back tomorrow with the Thursday edition of the Agenda podcast. We'll see you then.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.